Okay, the first section of your chapter review wants you to write each fraction or mixed number as a decimal. Use a bar to show repeating decimals. All right, so for number 1, you have 3/10. If you think of a decimal, the very first place after the decimal point is the tenths place, which means you'll just put a 3 there. Okay. This next one, she said that you all can start using your calculator. So if you do 5 divided by 6, then you have point, so decimal, and then it's 83 hundredths, but you cannot forget the negative, okay? The next one, number 5, again, on your calculator, 5 divided by 8, and that equals 625 thousandths, okay? The next ones, it wants you to say if it's greater than, less than, or equal to. So a way to do this is you can do like cross multiply. Okay, 9 times 3 is 27. 7 times 4 is 28. Which is greater, 27 or 28? 28, so that means 4/9 is greater. Okay, here you are given both a whole number and number 9. So these are equal, so now you're going to look at the half and 5/12. So you can cross multiply these fractions, or if you have something like this, you can look at a half. 1 is half of 2. Is 5 half of 12? No, not quite. So that's less than a half, which means 2.5 is greater. Okay? Then here, this one is giving you one decimal and a mixed number. So this is 4 and 3/7 repeating. This one is 4 and 19/50. So if you were to divide 19 divided by 50, it is 38 hundredths. Okay, so you'll now compare 37 repeated or 38. Well, 38 is greater. Okay. All right, 13. Let's go back. It says, Antoine is cutting a 5 and 5/16 inch board for a project. Write 5 and 5/16 as a decimal. Okay, so what you're going to do here is you have your whole number, which is 5. Now, so it's 5 and remember your decimal is and then 5/16. So in your calculator, you're going to do 5 divided by 16, which is 3, 1, 2, 5. Okay? Number 14 says a basketball player successfully made 21 out of 39 free throw attempts. To the nearest thousandth, what part of the time was he successful in making his free throws? So you're going to make that a decimal, which is 21 over 39. So it's 21 divided by 39. And that is so 538 thousandths. Okay? Number 15. Here I want you to write each decimal as a fraction or mixed number in simplest form. Okay, so the first one, it's given us 2 and 8 hundredths. So you know your whole number is 2. So 2 is going to be a side here. Now 8 hundredths, because here's the tenths, here's the hundredths place. All you're going to do is take that 8 and put it over 100th. Okay, but you do need to simplify here. So you could start by, if you divide by 4, to simplify, okay, 8 divided by 4 is 2, and 100 divided by 4 is 25, okay? So your final answer would be 2 wholes and 2 over 25, okay? The next one, you have 875 thousandths. Remember, this is the tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So you're going to take 875, you're going to put it over 1,000. This could definitely be simplified. So what we're going to do is first, if you divide, I think that was, I divided by 5, and I got 175 over 200. If you keep looking, can I keep simplifying? Yes, divide by 5 again. 175 divided by 5 is 35. 200 divided by 5 is 40. Okay, can I divide by 5 again? Yes. Then it's 7/8 is your final answer. Okay? All right, for 19, here's the thing to know, that if you have a single digit number repeating, okay, it's not 1 5 repeating or 1 3 repeating, it's just the single digit, so 1 repeating, that means it's in the 9ths place. So you'll take your 1, which is here, and put it over 9. So 1/9 is your answer. All right, let's look at 21. Okay, I see I have a single digit repeating. So again, it's in the 9ths place. So you have 5 over 9, 5/9. Okay? All right. And then the next part, it wants you to identify all sets to which each number belongs. Okay? So -4 is it's a negative, so it's an integer. Okay? Number 4 is also a rational number. So you just put rational. All right? It wants you to do the same for 25. All right, if you look, you have a whole number plus there's no pattern, and these dots here mean that it just continues just with these numbers, but there's no pattern. 1 5 1 5 5, it just keeps going. So that means that this number is irrational. Okay. All right, let's look at the next. Number 27. Suzanne practiced playing the piano for 1.6 repeating hours after school, right? 1 6/10 repeating as a mixed number. Okay, it's a mixed number because you have a whole number plus a fraction. So the whole number is 1, and then the 6 repeating is going to be your fraction. So again, you have a single digit repeating. So that's going to be 6/9. Okay? Same with 28. It says, James rode his bicycle for 10 4/10 mile in a competition. Write 10 4/10 as a mixed number. So you know that 10 is your whole number. Look at the number 4. It's in your tenths place. So that means it's 4/10. Can you simplify 4/10? And I'm sorry, back up to number 7. I didn't simplify. You can divide 6 and 9 both by 3. Then you'll have 1 as your whole, 2/3. Okay? Down here, we'll divide both by 2 to simplify. So 10 is your whole number. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 10 2/5. okay? All right, now let's look at 33. 33 wants you to evaluate each expression if A equals negative 2/3 and B equals negative 4 and 1/4. So here we are going to, we're just going to plug them in. All right, so we have A, B, it's negative, A is negative 2/3. And then because they're right next to each other, they are multiplying. So times negative 4 and 1/4. Okay? So because we're multiplying, we need to make this into an improper fraction. So 4 times 4 plus 1 is 17. So let's bring it over, negative 2/3 times, keep that negative, negative 17 over 1. Okay? Can I do any simplifying? No. All right, so negative, first of all, look, you have a negative times a negative, which we know is a positive. So 2 times, and I did sorry, this is supposed to be a 4. I was like, something's not right. I'm sorry, so I didn't leave my 4 there. So yes, I can simplify. This is going to be a 2. This is going to be a 1. So 1 times 17 is 17. 3 times 2 is 6. Now take that out and put it in as a mixed number. So 17 divided by 6. 6 can go into 17 2 times with 5 left over, and denominator stays the same. Okay? All right. With 35, again, we're just putting in for B. So we have negative 4. They're next to each other, so it's multiplying. We're multiplying times negative 4 and 1/4. All right, so we need to make this into an improper fraction, and we need to make negative 4 into a fraction. So we're going to put this over 1. So negative 4 over 1 times, and then we know when we put this as a improper fraction, it becomes negative 17 over 4. Can I do any simplifying? Yes, I have a 4 and a 4, so cancel those out. They're both 1s now. And I have a negative times a negative, which means my answer is going to be a positive. So 1 times 17 is 17. 1 times 1 is 1. 17 divided by 1 is 17. Okay? All right, let's turn the page. Okay. This one, it says, Marielle has a piece of ribbon that is 10 inches long. Abby's ribbon is 5/8 as long. How long is Abby's ribbon? All right, so if we look, that means it's shorter. Her ribbon is shorter, so it's 5/8 of 10 inches. Of, if you remember, is multiply, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply 5/8 times 10. We're going to put 10 over 1. All right, can we simplify before we multiply? Yes, I can divide both of these by 2. That'll become a 4, and that will become a 5. 5 times 5 is 25. 4 times 1 is 4. Now, let's make that into a mixed number. So we're going to do 25 divided by 4. 4 can go into 25 6 times with a 1 left over. Keep your denominator the same. So 6 and 1/4. All right, number 38. It says, a liter of water weighs approximately 2 1/5 pounds. While backpacking, Enrique wants to carry 3.5 liters of water with him. Find the weight of the water that Enrique is taking with him. So we know how much each liter weighs. We know how much he wants to carry with him. We don't know the total weight, so that means you need to multiply. So we're going to multiply 2 1/5 times 3 1/2. So we need to make both of these into improper fractions. 2 times 5 plus 1 is 11/5 times 3 times 2 plus 1 is 7/2. Can we do any simplifying? Not that I see. So, 11 times 7 is 77 over 5 times 2 is 10. So 77 divided by 10. It can go in 7 times with 7 left over. Okay? All right, let's look at 41. So this section, it wants you to find the multiplicative inverse of each number. All right, so for 41, first you need to take this and put it as an improper fraction. So 3 times 5 is 15, plus 4 is 19. Denominator stays the same, which is 5. Okay? All we're going to do is now flip them over to make the inverse. So your inverse is 5/19. Okay? Same with 42. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13. Don't forget your negative. It's 13/3. All we're going to do is now flip it. So it's -3/13. Okay? All right, then next we have for 51, it wants us to find each quotient, right in simplest form. Okay, and they're putting some variables in there. So we're dividing, which means keep, change, flip. Okay, so we're going to keep 2ab over 3, change to multiplication, flip a over 6. So it's going to be 6/a. Can I simplify before I multiply? Yes. I see an a here and an a here will cancel. Anything else? Nope. 6 and 3. Yes, I can divide both by 3. That's a 1 and that is a 2. Now multiply what you have left. So 2 times 2 is 4. Are there any variables? Yes, there's a b. So 4b over just 1. 4b divided by 1 equals 4b is your answer. Okay? All right, let's look here. Again, we're dividing, so keep, change, flip. We're going to keep 3ab over 2. We're going to change to multiplication and flip 10/7b. Can I do any simplifying before I multiply? Yes. I can cross these b's off. And then the 10 and the 2, I can divide both by 2. That's a 1 and that's a 5. 3 times 5 is 15. Do I have any variables? Yep, I still have that a. Over 1 times 7 is 7. And now you are going to, we're just going to put that in, normally we'd say, okay, well, do we need to put this in as a mixed number? No, you're just going to leave it 15a over 7. Okay, let's get on to 55. All right, it says Pilar drinks 1 3/4 glasses of milk each day. At this rate, how many days will it take her to drink a total of 14 glasses? Okay, do we know the total? No, not in this. We don't know how many days, but we know how many total glasses, which would be 14. So we are going to divide here. So I have 1 3/4 divided by 14. So first we need to make this into an improper fraction, then keep, change, flip. So 1 times 4 plus 3, that is 7 over 4, and then divide 14. Now let's do keep, change, flip. So we're going to keep 7/4, change to multiplication, and then this would be 14 over 1, so we're going to change it 1 over 14. Or flip it, 1 over 14. Can we simplify? Yep, I have a 7 and 14. Divide both by 7. Okay, 1 times 1 is 1. 4 times 2 is 8. And I'm sorry, I did that wrong. I did it backwards. So I need to, so I was dividing, I was supposed to put the larger number. It's like, that's not the correct answer. Sorry about that. So similar to what we were doing, but it's going to be 14 over 1, and then 14 over 1, and then we're going to change it to multiply, and then this was going to be, that was 4, and then, 7 over 4. So it would be 7 over 4, but we're going to flip it to 4 over 7. Okay, that's a 1, a 2. 2 times 4 is 8 over 1, so 8 divided by 1 is 8. Okay, sorry. All right, the next. So number 56 is Ton plants 6.5 flats of tomatoes in a row. How many rows will she need to plant 52 flats? All right, so here we are dividing, okay? So this time I set it up right. Sorry about before. All right, here, so let's put 52 over 1, and then we're going, it'll be divide. 6 times 2 plus 1 is 13 over 2. And now let's do keep, change, flip. So keep, change, and then flip. Okay? Now, 52, can we, we're going to simplify before we multiply. Yes, so this will become 52 divided by 13 is 4, and this will be a 1. Now go ahead and multiply across. 4 times 2 is 8 over 1, which equals 8. Okay? Number 67, it wants us to find each sum or difference and make sure that we write it in simplest form. Okay, so, all right, if we look here, do we have the same denominators? No, so we can keep this a 15, we need to make this into a 15. So to make that into a 15, we had to multiply 5 times 3. Whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. So times 3, 2 times 3, that would be now a 6. Now you can go straight across. And remember, your denominator will stay 15. So 6 plus 1 is 7. So now you have 7/15, and you can't simplify any further. Okay? Over here, you do not have to, well, for 69, in this case, you want to go ahead and make this into an improper fraction. So we have 4/7 plus, and then it's going to be a negative. 1 times 3 is 3, plus 1 is 4, so 4/3. Okay, I need to make my denominators the same. I can make them both into 21. Okay, I made this into 21 by multiplying by 7, so 4 times 7. Well, here, I guess I should do this side first, sorry. So this times 3, so 4 times 3 is 12 over 21, plus negative, multiply this by 7, is 28 over 21. 12 plus negative 28 would be negative 16 over 21. Okay, and that is as far as we can go there. All right, next one is 71. Where's my, there we go. Okay, 71. So we're just gonna keep going with 71, you're subtracting. So I recommend when you are subtracting, because you don't know if you're gonna have to borrow, if you write it vertically, okay? So if you have 25 and 1/3, and then subtract 14 and 2/5, and write it this way, you know that you need to make your common denominator here is going to be 15. Okay, 5 times 3 is 15, so 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 5 is 15, so 1 times 5 is 5. All right, can you subtract 6 minus 5? No. So you have to borrow. This 5 is now a 4, and you have to add a whole. Remember, look at the denominator. Your whole is 15/15. So now that is changed to 20/15. Now can you do 20 minus 6? Yes. Which is 14, and then 15 stays the same, 14/15. Now do your whole numbers. That's a 0, 1. So your answer here is 10 and 14/15. All right, next one, number 73. Again, with subtraction especially, I recommend doing vertical. So you have negative 5/9 minus, so you have minus 3 and 2/3. So you want to make your these to be the same denominator. You don't have to mess with this one, but this one you need to make it to a 9 by multiplying times 3. So 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, can I do 6/9 minus 5/9? No, you can't. So if you do, so if you do negative 5, but there's nothing to borrow from here. So negative 5 minus 6, because remember this is a negative, is 11 over 9. And then you have your 3. And then 11 over 9 is 1 and 2/9. So you have your, your 1 and 2/9 is negative. Your 4 and your 1, you need to put those together. So now you have negative 4 and 2/9 is your answer. Okay. 75. It says Monica needs 2 3/4 cups of flour for a batch of cookies and 3 1/3 cups of flour for a dozen muffins. How many cups of flour does Monica need all together? All together means we're going to add. So I have 2 3/4 plus 3 1/3. I need to make my denominators common, so make these both into a 12. This is now, because I had to multiply by 4, this is now a 4. I had to multiply here by 3, so 3 times 3 is 9. Now add your fractions together. 9 plus 4, you have 13/12, which we know is 1 and 1/12. And then 2 plus 3 is 5. So it's almost like you'll have a plus 5 here. So it is altogether 6 and 1, 6 and 1 12th cup. All right, 76 says, Dane and his family drove 357 and 9/10 of a mile in one day. If their trip is a total of 524 and 3/4 mile, how much farther do they have to drive, or do they need to drive? So we're subtracting, we're finding the difference of what they need to drive. All right, so we have 500. Again, I suggest that we do, so for 70, where am I? Okay, so 3/4, if we do, you have 524, and then 3/4, you could make 3/4 in